We are now joined by Dale Earnhardt Jr., driver of the number 88 Nationwide Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. And Dale, before we get into the press conference here, as part of the appreciation, we have Pocono Raceway CEO Nick Adolski, who has something for you.
We follow the rules. Although I wanted to buy him a baby buffalo, I wasn't allowed. But as a new tradition, we started here with Jeff leaving the driver's seat and Tony as well. We'd like to make a small contribution to the Dale Jr. Foundation and the Nationwide Children's Hospital on behalf of you, and a special thanks to you. Both checks, 2 checks, in the amount of $8,888 each, for a grand total of $17,776.
Awesome.
Thank you for everything you did. There's few drivers I'd put him above the top of the list as one that has done more for our fans in Pocono, more appearances, more Tricky Triangle clubs, more autograph sessions. Fan Fest was a great example of that last night. Thank you very much.
Very kind.
So that's a pretty cool gift.
That's awesome. Man, that's perfect. That's going to make a lot of folks happy. And I can't thank the folks here at Pocono enough. This place has been a track that I came to quite often, considering that the races were in the summer. Came here in the 80s quite a bit and saw a lot of great races here. It's a terribly challenging racetrack with all the corners being so different, and it did take me quite a while to figure it out. And I got a lot of respect for it, and they do an amazing job. I really enjoy the job they do for their fans and the folks that come out here to watch, and you know, I've always had great experiences here outside the car. You know, it's obviously a great area to visit, and one of the more entertaining and comfortable stops on the circuit with the Pocono Mountains and everything. So we've always enjoyed coming up here, and we've stayed in the bus lot. We've rented condos and been out and about. And it certainly is beautiful up here, so it's one of our favorite trips. The family here has been incredible to me and our family, and we have always enjoyed supporting the track. Over the last couple of years, we've traded off paintball for the team, and we'll do a Q&A on Sunday over here behind the grandstands, and the 48, 88, 24-5 guys go get to play paintball over at Skirmish, and that's been something that we've done for the last couple of years. It's a big deal. Sounds kind of small. Doesn't sound like a big deal, but it makes a big impact for our team and the camaraderie of our guys. And I appreciate, you know, it's little things like that Poconos does really well. And so it makes you appreciative that the track is so accommodating. So yesterday at the Fan Fest was great. We won the cooking portion of the contest, and had a couple of Canadians cooking pork and turkey, or pork and chicken, and we ended up winning somehow. But it's a lot of fun, and hopefully the fans enjoyed that. That's kind of going to be a bit of a new trend for some of these tracks to try to go to these 2-day shows, and I hope that you know, that Friday was an entertaining Friday for the fans that come out here to spend the day with us.
Okay, we'll open the floor for questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll start here with Kenny and then go to Zach and then to Bob.
So I'm a little nervous. I've never been in the media center. Hold on. Oh, yeah.
This is your first time?
As you can tell, I've never done this before. We're putting a piece together for Fox Sports. This is your last race here. Even as a kid growing up, everything you've ever seen here, fogged out, animals on the racetrack, people running across the track. In your mind, what's the craziest thing or things you've ever seen at this racetrack? There's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, there's been some incredibly.
It can be fun. You
Yeah.
know, it can be fun.
There's been some there's been some fun things. You know, there's a lot. There's just
Danica said the wet T-shirt contest, the fan running across the racetrack in front of Kyle Petty, animals.
Yeah, I think the craziest thing that I ever witnessed here was I had a front row seat when me and Steve Park crashed off of turn 2, and his car hit that fence on the inside. It spit out between my car and the fence, straight up in the air like a bar soap in the shower. And I had a front row seat for that, and it was just the most amazing. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was just, and
that sticks in your mind forever.
Yeah.
Out of Pocono.
That visual was incredible, and it was scary, of course, and it was great that Steve was okay. But we were flying into that fence, and I thought, this is going to be a massive crash. And to watch that car go up in the air right in front of me and just sort of tumble in slow motion was really, we just see so many really vicious crashes here. Ellie Sadler knocking the motor out of his car, and my dad flipping down there in turn 1 in '82, and he broke his collarbones in a wreck here in '79. So I mean, this it's a long straightaway. You're getting it by the time you get to the end of it. And I remember I was watching a race. I was watching a replay of Bobby Labonte beating me in 2001.
I watched it. It was on Twitter this week. Yeah. He was proud of it.
He was. I think about that, and I'm like, what could I have done different? But coming here and being able to sweep races was a surprise to me. We'd never won here before, so we won one, and we're like, wow, we were lucky. And then we swept them. Won the second one. We thought, man, maybe we're not just lucky. Maybe we're pretty good. So that was an awesome experience.
Thanks, Junior. Appreciate it.
We'll go to Zach, then to Bob, then to Campbell.
Zach Sterniolo with the Pocono Record. Dale, I know last night at the Fan Fest, it looked like you had a nice moment there with Dr. Rose Mattioli.
Yeah.
I know you talked about how great the track has been to you in the past, but what's your relationship been like with the Igdalski and Mattioli family over the years here?
Brandon, I think, has done an incredible job. And this track, this track, I think, for a long time, fought for respect and credibility amongst its peers. And in the last several years, last couple of, handful of 15 years or so, Brandon, I think, has done an incredible job to help it earn that respect and become one of the stops on the circuit that I think a lot of people actually, drivers, teams enjoy coming to. We got a lot of room in the garages. That sets itself apart for me personally from a lot of racetracks. The facilities here are really nice. The surface of the racetrack, when they repaved it, they did an incredible job. And again, their ability to I wouldn't say more accommodating, but their ability to be flexible and accommodating to the drivers and teams really helps out a lot and makes you want to work for them, and want to help them. So I've just got a good relationship with Brandon, and I sort of think we both share a bit of, common theme in our lives, trying to prove ourselves as the sons of some folks that did a pretty damn good job of it. So I was proud of what he did and what he's accomplished. I'm excited for his future, but I think that Pocono's in great hands going forward. And I'm, obviously going to be coming back and can't wait to continue to come here year after year.
Bob Hockers, ESPN. How often did you shift in first practice, and are you comfortable with whatever you guys got in the car this week?
We ain't broke it yet, so we made some changes to the mechanics of our transmission that are unique for me, and nothing that we did across the board for all the teammates. So I did a couple things with my transmission to help me stay in that outside gate, that third and fourth gear. We just stiffened the spring, which if you grab the shifter when it's in neutral, obviously it takes some effort to pull it to the left to get into that inside gate of first and second. It takes effort to get it to the outside gate of third and fourth. So if it's setting in neutral, it takes some effort to go there, but it's very little effort. Well, we made it very hard to get into second. So I should just be able to go in and out of third and fourth and stay in that outside gate without really any problem. Probably something that, should have done a long time ago, just for some extra assurance, and because it is it's possible. You know, I mean, I've done that. I've made that mistake before of getting in the wrong gear at a lot of tracks. You know, road courses in particular. So, but we got through Sonoma. Shifting and doing all the things we do at Sonoma without any problems gave me the confidence that maybe it was just something unique to the pattern, or we were doing that particular weekend, and it gave me confidence coming back. And some of the changes we made to our transmission also gave me a lot of confidence for this weekend. But should be no problems going forward.
Okay, next we'll go to Campbell, then to Brandt, then to Matt.
Mr. Earnhardt, Campbell Donovan. What are you going to miss most about this track and racing here at Pocono?
That's a great question. This track offers so much character. You know, the tunnel turn was one of the more terrifying corners to try to get used to in this sport. It's such a challenge. We go through there so fast. It was one of the more intimidating corners in our series, and so you know, I'm gonna miss how unique it is. It's so different from turn to turn. Obviously, the shape of the track and everything about it is a bit of a change of pace, which is nice. And I'm going to, you know, obviously I'll be coming back and enjoying the area, which I like a lot, and you know, if I'm still cycling, this is a great area to do that. But it's, I don't know. I think it'll be a new perspective and a new way to experience it from the booth, and just being outside the car as I make this transition into the next chapter of my life. I think it'll be a different perspective and new things to appreciate, you know, and what I might miss, I'll probably pick up on some new stuff and seeing the race from a different point of view. So I'm looking forward to that. You know, I have really enjoyed racing here. You know, it took a while for me to sort of figure that out, or understand how to enjoy the track itself. But the racing here is pretty fun, and you know, the restarts are really wild, and turn one is a blast, especially when you can take advantage of a lot of folks and get a lot of spots, and with the shifting and the shifting and the uniqueness of each corner, it creates opportunities to make runs and passes. This you don't really seem to really get lulled to sleep like you do at some of the bigger tracks. So this place is, you know, there's so much to be doing and so much work happening inside the car every lap that it keeps you busy, and it's fun.
Go next to Brandt, then to Matt, then to Pat, then to Jeff.
Brant James, USA Today Sports. Is there a place in the next 6 that you consider more likely to produce a win? And if so, is it good for you mentally, or maybe bad to sort of put a little more pressure or more emphasis on one of those places, or expectation on one of those places?
So I know we're here this weekend. We got the Glen. I think Richmond's the last one, right? What are the other ones? Michigan's a good one. Michigan's a good track for us. Bristol, I could probably win there. What was the other? Darlington? Oof. Yeah, Darlington, man, when we come close, that's like a win. That place is tough. But you never know. We'll just have to keep showing up and see what happens. You know, you can't, you got to keep trying. But I think here in Michigan are tracks that you know, obviously have got some wins, recent wins at, so there's going to be some, you know, maybe some more expectation going into those, or more confidence going into those. I hate to say that because, you know, we got to go in there and even, like I said on social media the other day, like we got to go into Watkins Glen like, you know, we can win it. We got to go in there with that attitude if we want to win. If that opportunity falls in our lap, you have to have your head on straight. So we'll go to all these tracks with a great positive attitude and see how it works out for us. But here in Michigan are probably the ones at the top of the list.
Go Matt, Pat, Jeff, Robbie.
Matt Catrillo with News Radio 1070 WKOK over here. Dale, you mentioned all the memories you've had here at Pocono, and of course winning here in 2014, sweeping here. What are some of the memories you take away from winning here both those times, and how much would getting your win here and your last time here at Pocono mean for you, and obviously put you into the playoffs too?
I remember we had a Make-A-Wish kid one of those weekends, Chris, who got to become friends with on social media. So I remember him. We always say, if we win, we'll see you in Victory Lane. And it's the odds are not in your favor because the competition is tough. But that particular day, we actually got to take Chris into Victory Lane, so that was fun. He had an awesome weekend, and the broom, sweeping, and the broom, and Letarte. He had a hell of a pit call in both races that helped us get in position to get that track position we needed for our car to win the race. And his, which is now a good GIF on social media, his his sort of expression up on top of the box when he made those calls is one of the funnier moments of our work together. He was really proud of his call. Those are just and social media. I just started that year, and seeing how folks reacted to the win through social media was a new experience, which was a lot of fun. Everybody was pretty excited, and sort of, we didn't really get to do that at Daytona because there's so much going on that week, and I was so new to social media, I didn't even know what I was looking at half the time. But during those Pocono races, you really kind of got to experience what winning is like in that, on those platforms, and how the fans were, reacting to those wins.
Pat?
Pat Nicola, NASCAR.com. Looking ahead to next week, it's been kind of well documented over the years that road racing is not maybe your favorite kind of racing, but you've run much better at Watkins Glen and Sonoma over the past few years. Are you ready to finally admit that maybe you're kind of a confident road racer?
Well, we just quit testing. That was really why we started running better, because we stopped trying so hard. We'd go to the road Atlanta and just run ourselves into the ground for 2 days trying to figure out how to become great at road course races. And finally, I told Letarte, I said, let's just quit testing because it ain't getting us anywhere but wore out. And it's 2 days in the week. The guys are just, it's making them tired because we're cramming it in between races and trying to get, and we're not really getting anywhere. So we just quit trying, and we just show up, and we started running great. And so yeah, ever since they've limited testing, it's been a plus for me at the road courses for whatever reason. Obviously, the cars have to be very good for me to be able to compete well at any racetrack. So they've got to give the cars and what the company understands and what they're taking to the racetrack. We got to give that credit because the cars have been really, really quick. So yeah, I think I went there and did well in my Xfinity days. When I beat Ron that day, I know he was having some engine trouble, but we were having some problems of our own. That was a big deal, and I went to school with Ron a bunch. We went to Bondurant. We run Corvettes and tested Corvettes together, and he drove for DEI, and we would go over setups and notes and we just did a lot. Spent a lot of time talking to Boris as well, testing with him, sharing information, and Boris was an open book. I would be struggling at Sonoma, and I'd go over to Boris and say, what do I need to do? I just can't figure it out. And he would give me the setup. He'd say, here's my setup, put it in. I'd put it in there and pick up 4/10. I'm like, all right. But that's how good and nice those guys are, Andy Pilgrim was another guy I spent a lot of time with. And so I leaned on a lot of guys that I thought gave me great information and wanted to help me. And when the cars are there and when the cars are superb, I can do a good job with it. So I think we can go into the Glen and be top 10. We should be top 10, without a problem. If we're not, I think that's falling short of my expectations for us.
Jeff, Robbie, Scott, and then we'll finish with Al.
Jeff Gluck from jeffgluck.com. So next year, when you're in the TV booth, you're likely going to be in a position where you may have to criticize some people who are now your peers, and they may get upset. Obviously, like Letarte at Indy last week, he was speaking his opinion about Allgaier, and that got some people upset. Do you feel like you'll be able to be as blunt as you are sometimes on Twitter when you're in the broadcast booth about people that you know?
Yeah, that'll be a bridge I guess I'll have to cross when I get there. I hope that I'm able to be comfortable being honest and out, and there's, you can cross the line, and I've done it before. You just have to know when you've crossed it and admit it. And I think that people, my peers included, would, are okay as long as you own it. But I do think that I think that, I hope that I'm being brought into the booth because of who I am and how I act, and my honesty and candid conversation. I want to be that same person I am in the booth. I don't want to change or be molded into something different or polished up. I mean, I definitely want to get better, and I want to be great at it. I want to work at it and do what I need to do, but I also want to, want that freedom to be honest and be candid. But if you're going to do that, you're obviously going to step on a toe or two, and you're also going to be wrong sometimes. So I think when you're wrong, it's best, and I've always felt like I did a good job of that, is owning it and moving on. But I think that, Sam's told me that he hired me to be me. So I'm hoping that the me he's talking about is the guy that you guys know, and the person I am on Twitter and social media, and because that's what I enjoy, and that's why I want to go. That's what I want when I get into the booth, is to be that candid and be that honest. But I'm not going to attack anybody. I didn't like getting attacked when I was a race car driver, and I certainly wouldn't want to do that to any of my peers. I got a lot of respect for those guys. But I really didn't have a problem with what I heard over the weekend at Indy. And I think that the fans appreciate a broadcaster who isn't favorable toward one guy or another. And Steve must have felt pretty strong about his opinion about that particular situation and chain of events. And while it was playing out, nothing struck me. I was watching the race and listening to Steve, and nothing struck me as, wow, I wouldn't have went there, or that was strong, or that was wrong. I know that Justin took it personally, obviously, with his rebuttal on Twitter or Instagram, but and I think, if he wants to handle it that way, that's fine too. So that was a hard thing to watch. That was a big old mess of screw-ups all in one, and it was hard to watch. But as a broadcaster, it's you have to tell people what you're seeing, and that's just what was happening, I thought. But that'll be interesting. That's something's going to be interesting to go through, and I'm just going to tell it like I see it, I suppose, and see if that works.
Robbie?
Robbie, Sports Illustrated Kids. How did your decision to retire change your attitude about your future?
My attitude about my future. So when I was deciding to retire, I really didn't know what my future looked like. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know how I was going to make money and what that all looked like, what opportunities would be there for me. We did partner up with an agency that will produce some interesting opportunities. So that's going to be, I'm a little nervous about that, but also excited. I'll be going out of my comfort zone. It's been real easy to drive a race car and hang out in the garage, and because I know all these people and I'm comfortable there, but I'm going to have to get out of that area and go places I've never been before and do things with folks that I've never done before, and try to broaden my horizons a little bit. So I'm a little nervous to do something new. But hopefully it all goes pretty smooth and I don't stumble out of the gate too much. But as I get closer to the end of the season and then what comes next, as it starts to get clearer as what I'm going to be doing, and it gets more comfortable, and I'm starting to learn that I'm not going to be put in any compromising situations. I don't have to do anything that I don't feel comfortable with, and as we accept and decline different opportunities, we're going to have ultimate control over what we get ourselves into. So it's starting, the anxiety's coming down a little bit, and the excitement level's rising a little bit as it gets a little more clear as to what I'm going to be doing. Because when you make such a big change in your life, there's a lot of unknowns, and you're a little nervous and scared at first, but all that's starting to kind of clear up as we get closer and closer to the next year.
Scott?
Scott Walsh from the Scranton Times-Tribune. Dale, just so happens your first race here back in 2000 was the day that Jeremy Mayfield bumped your dad out of the way coming out of turn. What do you remember about that day? Do you remember anything, maybe your dad afterwards you guys talking about or anything like that?
We didn't talk. Me and my dad never talked racing. We just didn't. And, I wouldn't go up and ask him about that unless I wanted to upset him. I hated it. It was something that you were used to seeing Dad doing, and I didn't like seeing nobody do it to him. He was my hero, and didn't like seeing my hero getting moved out of the way like that. So it's not a race that I like to think about, but I certainly, knowing my dad, it's nothing I would have brought up in conversation in the rental car on the ride back to the airport for sure. But we didn't talk racing a lot. We just didn't. There wasn't a lot of opportunity. I was running late models for 4 years, never seeing him. I don't think he ever saw me race late models during the mid-'90s. And then when we got into the Xfinity Series, I had 2 years of that and 1 year in Cup, and then he was gone. So we had 3 years, but just not really any conversation about driving or advice about it. He was more worried about me keeping my head on straight, keep it focused, than how to get into the corner. It was more about how to be outside the car and keep your head on. Everything was happening so fast and we were having so much success. I think he was just making sure that I wasn't going to get careless or, be an idiot outside the car. So we talked about that all the time, getting up on time and getting up, not sleeping till noon and being on time for appearances and all that stuff.
Al?
Dale, Al Pierce from Auto Week. If you don't make the playoffs and you still win 2 or 3 races late in the year, how will you look back on your last season?
We didn't, I think about, when you talk about that, I think about that Martinsville win a couple years ago. We got knocked out of the round before that. Everybody was down, bummed out. We thought we had a great season. We were in the top 3 in points all year, and it just, we just got bumped out. Had a couple bad races. And we went to Martinsville and won what, for me, is one of my, definitely in my top 5 as far as wins that I personally appreciate. And we celebrated, and it was the greatest. You'd have never known that we were disappointed about anything. And it was all that disappointment and upset feeling was gone. We'd won a clock. We had an awesome day, and it was a big we checked a big old box there for me personally, and I think the team felt the same way about it. So, you're going to be disappointed if you don't make the chase. There'll be a big hurt in your heart because you feel like you deserve to be in that group. You feel like you're good enough. You feel like your team's good enough, and when you don't make it, I've been there before. It doesn't feel good. And but if you can win a race during that time when those other guys are trying to win that championship, it's a bit of a statement, I think, for anybody that's not in that chase. So it's a great feeling, maybe a better feeling to do that than to win any of the regular season races. So that would be awesome if we could do that. If we can win any race before the end of the season, just to go back to victory lane and know that feeling one more time before it's over with, that would be awesome.
Good luck pursuing it this weekend, Dale.
Thank you.
Take
Thanks,
care.
guys.